Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are at the world currently. We're in this course Sefirot, Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, lesson number 5. Hopefully this time the lesson will go fine, because last time we had a technical problem which caused the broadcast to cut in the middle. So we'll take it from where we stopped last time. A short review. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them either in the chat on Facebook or on YouTube. Also, you have in the description the link to the PDF in case you don't have the book Kabbalah for Beginners that we currently study from. Of course, if you have any questions, just write them down, as I've said that already, right? Okay, so I hope everybody's fine, and let's just begin, okay? Who knows when the broadcast will fall this time. Okay, so last time what we talked about, if you remember, we'll do a general overview. Okay, I uploaded this diagram for last time, but obviously I didn't upload the one from 2 lessons before. So what we're talking about in Kabbalah, we're talking about a general process in which the creation, a process of creation started on a certain point. Then there is some kind of descension, a process of descension, meaning that the creature draws farther and farther away from the creator, meaning that it has more concealment of the one force that operates the whole system, which is called the creator. And then there is a development in our world, meaning in the level in which there is a complete concealment, in which we don't sense this one force that is called the creator, our world, until a person starts to have this internal question, internal search. We call it the point in the heart, something that draws him above this world, this corporal world, and compels this person to search for a higher fulfillment, some kind of truth, some kind of thing that is higher than this world. And then the person starts to ascend by using the method of Kabbalah and to reveal again this force of the creator, this one law that operates the whole system, and to understand how was he or she created, how does everything works and operates, and for what purpose. And in this process we are currently talking about how everything came to be in the initial state. So we're like zooming in on this part, and this is what we've done last time. So what we've talked about last time is how from these 2 aspects of creature and creator, 0 and 1, we have some kind of like the DNA of creation. In Kabbalah we call it Yud K Vav K. It's like the name of the creator, the 4 letters name of the creator. Or now we'll refer to it as 4 phases of the light and how the light creates the vessel, meaning how the creator creates the creature, and the root itself, which is the creator. It's not the creator itself, it's how we perceive the creator, or more correctly, how the Kabbalists that attain the highest level of creation perceive the creator, because we don't know anything if we don't attain it, okay? So we cannot actually talk about it. So what Kabbalists describe is phase 0. They describe it as the root, as the shoresh. Shoresh in Hebrew is root to all that came to be, okay? Again, if you're missing some of the terminology or things that I mentioned, better to rewatch the previous lessons. You can find them in the playlist in YouTube or in Facebook, on Kabbalah Info on Facebook, okay? So I'm taking as granted the fact that you watched or somehow heard some of the concepts in previous lessons. Okay, so this root or shoresh, Kabbalists define it as the desire to benevolent or to feel the creature, what we call the law of bestowal, the law of love. And in order to realize itself, it had to create the only thing that was actually created, which is a deficiency, which is something that doesn't exist in the creator as a whole. And this deficiency is called the will to receive, or what we call in Kabbalah the kli. okay? Kli in Hebrew is vessel, okay? So as you can see, in Bchina Aleph, in phase 1, the light created the vessel and it completely fulfilled it. So you can ask, okay, so if the creator created the vessel and fulfilled it, then the process should have stopped there, right? Well, no. Otherwise we wouldn't have the whole process of creation and we wouldn't be here talking today. So what happened? Apparently beside the pleasure, the feeling of life that the creature senses in the upper force, in the light, there is another aspect to it, and this is the sense of the giver, meaning the Kli, once it receives, it's not just like the fish in the aquarium that somebody changes the water and they get food and they're happy, but it's more like a dog, or humans it's even more, that we have some kind of sensation of a giver that we want to be in resemblance to, meaning that we, I gave a very shallow example last time, that if Bill Gates give me $1 million, then I enjoy the $1 million and I want to be like Bill Gates, okay? So in the $1 million itself, there is also this sense, some kind of a feeling of the giver. And this caused the vessel to develop. This is phase 2, or what we call Bchina Bet, the second discernment, the second aspect, in which the vessel wants to be like the creator, and it wants to bestow. Now the light that the vessel senses when it receives is called Chokhmah in Hebrew, and the light that it senses when it wants to bestow is called Chasadim, okay? Then later on we have Bchina, the third Bchina, the third phase, in which the vessel wants to keep bestowing, but it needs to receive a bit for its livelihood, because it reveals that it's not a source of abundance, a source of light, just like the creator. So it needs to receive in order to continue to bestow. And then in phase 4, we have the creature revealing that actually in its essence, it's only a will to receive. So it wants to enjoy both the pleasure and it wants to enjoy the fact that it's giving, okay? And what we focused about last time is the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. And we saw that in our book, in Kabbalah, in the book that we currently engage with, which is Kabbalah for Beginners, there they give an example about our world, which I like less, because I really prefer to keep it in a more abstract forces kind of way, but we'll go with the book. So before we go there, some more terminology. So we're on page 51. So in Kabbalah, a giving degree is considered male and a receiving degree is considered female. So this is another concept. Like these are two more concepts that we need to refer to. So in spirituality, we cannot really talk about male or female in terms of gender or something like that, or sex, but what we do when Kabbalists mention male or female is male is about bestowing and female is about receiving. That's because in Hebrew female is also called nekeva or nogva in Aramaic, which means which comes from the word nekev, which is a hole or a deficiency that needs to be fulfilled. And the male sometimes is referred to as gever, which comes from the word overcoming, idgabrut. So, and again, it's all relative. So I can be a male, meaning bestowing to a lower degree, and I can be a female, meaning receiving from a higher degree. Okay, so, and that's also something that confuses sometimes in Kabbalah, because in corporality we just say this is a pen, okay? But in spirituality, we can say this is a pen in a specific context, and it's completely something else in a different context, okay? So that's also true for female and male. Within each degree, there are states in which it is acting as a male or as a female. Hence, we sometimes refer to a certain degree as male and sometimes as female, even within the same paragraph. The only two exceptions to this rule are the creator, who is always a male, being the source, and the creation, which is always female, since she receives from him. Okay, so the creator doesn't receive from anybody, it's a will to bestow, and the malchut, the true creature, the creation, is only about receiving, okay, as we saw in phase 4. But pay attention to the fact that, again, the creator is being defined by the creation and the creation by the creator. So you cannot talk about about one of them without the other. So phase 2, which forces us to give despite our underlying desire to receive, which was in phase 1, is what makes life possible, okay? Without it, parents wouldn't care for their children and social life would have been impossible. Again, I don't like the fact that they're going into corporality, but it gives some flavors, so let's just roll with it. So we see that if our world would work only according to the measure of reception, that will do a very cold calculation how much pleasure I would receive from anything. We wouldn't even bring children to the world, because this is like the most unrational things to do. If a child would be an AI robot, or if it would be some kind of product that we would buy from Amazon, we would probably send it back after 2 weeks or a month, because the amount of sacrifice and the benefit that we get out of it, like everyone that has kids know that it doesn't matter how much you put into them, when you'll come home and they're a bit grown up, the dog would be happy for you to see you, but the kids will be probably in the screens. No, I'm just kidding. But everything that from children to social life is about something that is not completely rational in the will to receive, okay? For example, if I owned a restaurant, my underlying desire would be to make money, but to do so I would be feeding strangers whom I have no desire to benefit. The same is true for bankers, salespersons, and even cab drivers. Meaning that, but again, all the actions that we do, all social life are about acting in order to give, but since it's our world, meaning since we are in a complete concealment from the upper system, from the creator, then everything is in order to receive in the end. So like the big billionaires are the ones, or politicians are the ones that are acting in benefiting others, but actually doing that in order to gain something, okay? Now we can see why nature's law is that of altruism. Why am I missing? And giving, not the law of receiving, even though the law to receive lies at the basis of every creature's motivation, as dictated by the thought of creation. So again, it's very shallow, the explanation in this way, but let's finish it. From the minute we have both a desire to receive and a desire to give within creation, everything that will happen to her will stem from I can't say this word, reciprocity. Yeah, reciprocity, probably that. The relationship between phases 1 and 2. Okay, so let's just roll with this, and then we'll give a deeper explanation. So basically, in phase 1 and phase 2, we have the very two basic actions that we can promote as individuals, which are either to bestow, meaning something from me outside, and from outside towards me, meaning reception. Okay, so these are the two actions that we can do that stem from the relationship, the basic relationship between the creature and the creator. No, I'll do it as plus and minus. Okay, so I want to give like a deeper explanation here, and then we'll see, and then we'll go back to the simpler example. So you need to understand that when we talk about bestowing in our world, it's only like an analogy or some kind of example. It's not about bestow as we talk about it in spirituality. Because in spirituality, or let's say it like this, if there is me, and I bestow to somebody else, let's say a friend, So I help the old woman cross the road, I give money to the poor, I do something good for my friends, doesn't really matter. Still, as long as in my perception there is me doing something from the other, meaning there are two, one, two, then this action will always be in terms of reception, meaning that me doing something for the other in order to receive something. It can be pride, it can be honor, it can be respect, it can be money, it can be thinking that after I'll die I'll get to a better place. In the end, it's a cold calculation. It's a cold calculation about how do I maximize pleasure in minimum effort. But still, even if our world would work only according to the quality of reception, everything would die. Because even our world, the lowest degree that we're like unconscious to the system and to the law of bestowal and everything, if the creator won't operate in it, inside of it, it would die. So we have phenomena that we cannot really explain in our world by science, like the phenomena of life, like altruism, like consciousness, like different social structures that come from the fact that there is a higher force of altruism that operates in our level, and we are acting according to it without understanding. Okay, just like the fact that we're bringing kids to the world. Okay, okay. So why in what term does it help us, the fact that we can give to others in our world or receive? We'll see later on that it helps us to scrutinize where we stand towards the Creator. So while we are in a world which is concealed, we can have a certain laboratory, meaning have others around us that want to attain the Creator as well. And towards these others, we can examine how much are we willing to give without receiving anything in return, or how much all of our attitude towards them is to what extent do we want to receive from them, and what's the best possible way to receive, okay? And through that we can scrutinize our attitude. But this is a bit too early for this stage of the study, so let's go back to the material. So, and in this material, in the general sense, what you need to understand is that Bchina Aleph, the first phase 1, is about reception, and phase 2 is about trying to give to the Creator, although he doesn't need anything, but it's about overcoming one's own desire to receive in order to be similar to the Creator. That's in a very general way. Okay. Because the will to receive is opposite from the Creator's will to bestow, it is what distinguishes and separates, why does it always go to the right? And separates us from the Creator. But the Creator didn't just create us opposite from Him, He also gave us a way to bridge the gap. And this is what we learn in the wisdom of Kabbalah. Yes? So, the Creator is about bestowing, the creature is about receiving, and how the creature attains the Creator, meaning becomes similar to it, and sense it, this is all the method of Kabbalah. That's what Kabbalah talks about. How are we going to do that in practice? As we've just shown, the new desire to give in phase 2 forces creation to communicate, to seek someone who needs to receive. Therefore, phase 2 begins to examine what and how it can give to the Creator. After all, to whom else could it give? Okay, but the problem is that the Creator doesn't have a leg. Okay. These are deep questions, but you've heard them, okay? So it lies somewhere in your head. But when phase 2 actually tries to give, he discovers that all the Creator wants is to give. He has absolutely no desire to receive. Besides, what can creation give to the Creator? Moreover, phase 2 discovers that at its core, its real desire is to receive. It discovers that its root is essentially a will to receive delight and pleasure, and there is not an ounce of genuine desire to bestow within it. Okay. However, because the Creator only wants to give, creation's Will to receive is precisely what she can give to the Creator. By receiving, creation discovers she will actually be giving pleasure to the Creator, since giving is what pleases Him. This may sound confusing, but if you think of the pleasure a mother derives from nurturing her baby, you will realize that the baby is actually giving pleasure to its mother simply by receiving the nurturing. Hence, in phase 3, creation, the will to receive, chooses to receive. In so doing, she gives back to the root phase, to the Creator. Okay, so you can see how each phase has like different explanations depending what you want to emphasize. So here what the book is talking about is the fact that phase 3 wants to receive in order to bestow, because without receiving from the Creator, it has nothing to bestow to the Creator, which is correct. I also mentioned another explanation, that phase 3 reveals that without receiving some kind of fuel, motivation, power of life, it cannot actually bestow, because it's not a power station of light, of life. It's only a reception, it's only a vessel of reception, like a photoelectric cell that can either receive or not, like 0 and 1, okay? Okay. So it doesn't matter which explanation you want to take, as long as it's clear to you. Now we have a complete cycle where both players are givers. In phase 0, the Creator gives to the creation, phase 1, and in phase 3, creation, having gone through phases 1 and 2, gives back to the Creator by receiving from Him. Okay, so this is like, so actually what we have here, or in this part, you can say also from 0, is that the Creator wants to bestow to the creature, and the creature, by receiving, actually bestows to the Creator. So this is like a cycle, okay? Okay. In figure 1, which we've talked about last time, and it's very similar to what I drew here, so I'm not going back. In figure 1, phase 3 is described as a clear with 2 arrows, one pointing up and the other pointing down. The downward arrow indicates that phase 3 receives, as in phase 1, and the upward arrow indicates that its intention is to give, as in phase 2. Once again, both actions use the same will to receive as in phases 1 and 2. This does not change at all. What does change is the intention with which phase 3 receives. In phase 1 it receives without thinking about it, because it was created like that. But in phase 3 it receives in order to please the Creator. Okay, let's see if we have questions so far. Tom is saying, thank you, I love Kabbalah, I want to attain the Creator, become like the Creator. Okay, great, Tom, but no questions here. Let's see, wow, many people here. Okay, so, I don't even see the names of everybody. So, hello to Carmen, to Barbara, Yota, Alex. Alex is happy, I'm glad that it's nice that Alex is happy. Justin, Benny, Border, no questions. Daniel, Rina, okay, no questions. Roy and Kalim. Okay, so no questions. Everybody just saying hello and happy, which is good as well. Okay, so let's see if we're to move forward. Yeah, let's just finish this. Okay. So as we've seen before, our egoistic intentions are the reason for all the problems in the world. Here too, this was discussed in chapter 1 in the book. We didn't talk about it in the course, so but it's pretty obvious that if the Creator is the source of life, is the complete abundance, and what conceals and makes us opposite of the Creator is a will to receive, our intentions that are focused on ourselves, setting ourselves as the center of reality, that everything that is caused by ourselves or is intended to fulfill ourselves, then of course that the will to receive is the source of all suffering and imbalance and darkness that we sense in our life. Here too, at the root of creation, the intention is much more important than the action itself. To demonstrate this hierarchy, Baal Sulam metaphorically says that phase 3 is 10% receiving and 90% giving. Okay? Okay, so this is about the intention. Okay, so we're going to talk about phase 4 that got a title of its own because it's so important. It's like the conclusion of this process, but we won't start it today. So let's see if we have questions to finish, or we'll wrap it up by this. No questions here, no questions here. Okay, so that's it for now. We'll continue next week. I have a question, maybe after the holidays, meaning starting next week or the week afterwards, we'll start to do this lesson on a daily basis. It's not really a lesson, it's more like conversation. Question is if people can actually do it daily, if it won't be too much, and if we won't be too advanced, so people will have a hard time catching up. I'll think about it yet, and we'll see. Of course, you still can watch it on VOD, on YouTube or Facebook, but it's a question. Okay, so that's it for now. Have a good night, good day, wherever you are in the world, and we'll meet next week.